Fat Dag is a Weight Watchers leader in Indianapolis, Indiana. However, the views and opinions expressed during this podcast are his own. They do not represent the views of Weight Watchers. And now, here's your host and wingman, Fat Dag.
Cheers. I am your host, Fat Dag. You're listening to Wise Advice. My weight loss journey failed when I focused on how. It wasn't until I switched my focus to why that I truly transformed myself. Join the show on the web at fatdag.com and follow along on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, all at Wise Advice. Send in your comments, your questions, your celebrations. I'll include them as part of the show. But before we dive in, remember, when you're out of points, stop eating points. Hey, I'm honored to be your wingman as we walk through this journey together because I believe in you. Well, hello there. Welcome to a very special episode number 256. Got a lot to talk about. This one may go into the wee hours of the night, so go ahead and buckle in and get comfortable. Those of you joining online live on Facebook and YouTube, good evening to you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being part of the live show. For those of you listening while you're driving, while you're getting ready, listening through the app, whether you're on Spotify, whether in the Wise Advice app, wherever you've got the podcast, thank you for tuning in. Always a pleasure to see you, to hear from you, and to kind of connect. And so I just want to give a big shout out to all of you who are out there right now getting it done, staying dialed in, staying focused, and making you a priority. That's where it all comes together, is when you make you a priority, things just happen. I'm going to give you a little intro into the show, just to kind of give you an idea of what's going on. Just got back from an amazing trip. The international tour rolls into Atlanta. Had an amazing time down in Atlanta. Next up is New York City, but we're going to kind of recap Atlanta, including a detour on the way to Atlanta. If you haven't heard about that, I had a little bit of a flight miscalculation and ended up in a completely wrong city. And so while I was there, I decided to run a 5K. So got to give you that information coming up. And then I want to talk about the Withings. Withings is a great company. You know, every morning I get on the scale, I hop on and auto tweets out my weight. I have it configured to do that. It doesn't do it automatically, rest assured. I have it configured that way. But if you go to fatdag.com, click on the Withings link, it'll take you to the Withings page, and you can purchase the Body Plus and the Body Cardio Scale. Use promo code DAG20, DAG20. It'll give you 20% off. It'll give you free shipping. And best of yet, it supports the show. So if you've always wanted a scale, you wanted a new higher tech scale, the exact same scale I use every single day to track my weight, you can do it as well. Go to, again, fatdag.com, click on the Withings link, and enter promo code DAG20 to get you there. So that's the cool news there. Last but not least, before we get into the show, yesterday, Mondag, had a great interview with the Apex podcast. The Apex podcast, RJ and Jan, they came all the way out from Canton, Ohio. They drove all the way into Indianapolis, and we sat right here, and we recorded about an hour and a half episode. So as soon as they send that off to their producer and their editor, I will share that link with you. But it was just a very candid conversation about our journeys, and so I want you to make sure you hear about that. I will share those details as they come available. You can watch the replay of that live show on Facebook at fatdag.com. So, sorry, on the actually Wise Advice Facebook page. So anyway, you can catch that there. So that's the update. Thanks for tuning in again. Thanks for listening. Let's go ahead and open up the show. The first email comes in from Lisa. Lisa says, "Hi, Mike. Hey, I just wanted to say how much you coming to Atlanta meant to me. I had only just started to listen to you, and I'm so happy that I felt the pull enough to make me step outside my comfort zone and come join your team. It was the first time in 20 years that I'd done a 5K. The last time was after one of my first big weight loss journeys. I had gained 65 pounds after the birth of my third child and had worked hard for over a year to lose the weight and trained to run my first race. I felt dizzy the whole race and almost didn't finish. I found out 2 days later I was pregnant. It was the last time that I ran. I have a best friend who runs races. I've been very active walking, hiking local parks, and playing tennis. I've had a roadblock, though, about running and didn't even realize it. I didn't sign up until Thursday, and I almost didn't. I wanted to connect with others who prioritize their journey and get it. I didn't really want to run. I planned on walking, but was more excited to meet others who shared this life that I live. I came alone, not really knowing what I was doing or who I was meeting. The warmth of your welcome and the power of meeting with others who get it was truly amazing. I still didn't know that I needed to run. Laura and I set off, and before we knew it, we were running. No plans to run. We just were. We made it 2.5 miles before walking, and we were so wrapped up in talking that we looked up, and there was the finish line. We sprinted towards it, and I must say, those last few steps running as fast as I could were the happiest steps I've ever run. I could feel my heart open, and I knew that I had overcome something that I didn't even realize was such a challenge. This lifelong battle of mine has had many roadblocks along the way. Each one has made me stronger and has brought me here, and I'm running again. You make a difference in the lives of so many. This weekend, you touched mine, and I thank you. I felt like I met a friend. I just hadn't had the chance to meet yet. I'm proud to say I think I earned my wings, and I look forward to being a wingman. Thank you, Lisa. 52 years old, lifetime reclaimed August 2017, personal goal weight November 2017, maintaining at or below goal since 89 pounds lost. Life has been gained, grateful, focused, and I believe. Lisa, wow. How cool is that? Congratulations on your 89-pound weight loss. Interesting enough that your first weight loss journey after losing or after getting to goal, and then running for the first time, and then becoming pregnant. Interesting how often weight loss does tend to lead to pregnancy. I'm not sure what that's about, but when you look better, you feel better, and everyone notices. So I kind of understand that side of the journey as well. So just want to chuckle with you there. But congratulations on your second 5K, or the first time that you run a 5K in decades. How awesome is that? I had a blast in Atlanta. I tell you, it was one of those trips that I didn't know what to expect as well, and I'm glad that you did the exact same thing I did. We show up with whatever happens, and we just kind of run with it. That's kind of how this whole journey evolves. But the most magical piece of this whole thing is that when we connect with other people who get it, something is different. And that's what this whole international tour is designed to do. It's designed to me to show up into a community, bring people together, me get out of there, and you guys continue to be the best community, a local supportive community of people who get it. Showing up, connecting, and then just connecting with people who prioritize their journey is what it's all about. Now, I've said this more than once, and there are countless people who have supported me along the way. But the amount and the level of support that I get from the wingman community, from people who understand the journey, from people who know exactly what it's like to close a bag of chips, from people who get it, is completely different. So it's truly an honor to have met you. I missed the opportunity that you guys took off running ahead of time. Yeah, as you know, Atlanta, there was thousands of people there. It was a very, very big race, bigger than I normally like, but it was actually very fun. As the race started, I was kind of in the back of the pack, and I got caught up in conversation with a couple of different groups and never made it all the way back up to the front. So I'm glad to see that you guys took off running, and I want to talk about how cool that was for a second when you showed up with expectations. No expectation to run, and then you get there with other people. You're clearly capable of running, whether you understand it mentally or not. When we get to this point, many of us, mentally is what's going to stop us long before the body will stop us. So as the two of you started just kind of lightly jogging, or however you started, next thing you know, you're 2.5 miles into it. What that tells me is that the mind controls the journey. I think we all know that, but here's the proof. You're mentally you did not want to run. But then you get there and something distracts you. And you get caught up in the moment. And next thing you know, you're jogging. And you're jogging before the mind has a chance to say, what are we doing? And so had you allowed your mind to take over from the start, you would not have done that. But once we are able to distract the mind and get you free from the clutter that you carry with you, running becomes a lot easier. So for so many of us, that's what's happening is we have this preconceived notion, something we've been taught, something that we've learned along the way that is stuck in our head that prevents us from hitting and attaining our goals. So here you are. You get distracted just enough, and in this case, distracted in a great way. You get distracted. Next thing you know, your body is craving exercise. You take off on a run, and then you end the race sprinting. Happiest steps you've ever run. The happiest steps of your life are when you finally said, I am capable of doing this. The heart comes wide open, and you know that you've now overcome something that was an incredible challenge. So continue to be awesome. It was truly an honor to hang out with you after. I'm very, very, very proud of every step that you took, every step that you ran, and just every part of your journey. You are stronger. You're running again, and I can't wait till we get the next run in and see what that looks like. Now you start working on distance. You start working on time. You've proven now you can do it. Once you've proven that it's possible, improving becomes the next step. So keep up the great work. Thank you so much, Lisa. Very, very honored to have met you and had a great time in Atlanta with you as well. This next email comes in. It comes in from Michelle at Louisville, Kentucky. Michelle says, "Hi, Mike. Wow, what a weekend. It had always been a dream of mine to participate in one of those races at the Disney Princess Half Marathon weekend, so I was so happy to be there at the 5K. It was such an amazing experience. Having the opportunity to meet you, Marie, and Anna made it even more special. To be honest, I've been having a rough time staying on program throughout the month of February. After all of my February weigh-ins, I was up 0.6 pounds for the month, as I left Louisville, Kentucky to travel to Orlando for the first weekend. I think there were a variety of reasons for the problems that I was experiencing: lack of focus, stress, fatigue, etc. As you may or may not know, February is Health Heart Awareness Month, and more specifically, the week of 7 through 14 Feb is a Congenital Heart Defect Awareness Month. Well, that's relevant to me in my journey because my son Caden was born with a complex congenital heart disease defect known as tetralogy of fallout in 2013. He had to endure 2 open heart surgeries within 3 weeks of each other in January of 2014 to repair his heart and give him the chance to live when he was only 6 months old. There is no cure for congenital heart defects, so that is why it's only considered a repair. He may need more surgeries in the future. Although he's 5 years old and doing well right now, he continues with annual checkups with his cardiologist. I am constantly reminded of what we went through with him and how fragile his health is when my Facebook feed is flooded with heart defect statistics, pictures, etc. For the week in February. Did you know that 30% of children born with complex congenital heart defects will not see their 18th birthday? A while back, I sat down and answered your 5 questions. My answer to the question about the hardest thing I've ever done was having to hand my 6-month-old son over to a nurse so she could take him to the operating room where his chest would be cracked open and he would be placed on a bypass machine as his tiny heart was repaired. The feelings, emotions that I experienced when I had to do that twice for his surgeries in January 2014 are still with me, and they rear their ugly heads at times, but especially during February. So to say January and February are difficult months for me, emotionally, every year, even to this day, is an understatement. Having my race to look forward to near the end of February helped some, but I still felt down for the most of the month. However, meeting you and my fellow wingmen this past weekend helped me so much. It was kind of surreal to be standing there with you all. I had never met any of you in person, but you all were so familiar, and it felt like I was just hanging out with old friends. Does that make sense, or does it just sound weird? I knew you were there for Marie, and I didn't want to take anything away from her for that experience with you, but I knew I had to meet you if I had the chance to. I hope you and Marie don't mind, Me being in your presence and getting the chance to talk with you all gave me so much positive energy and really helped me get refocused in terms of my mindset. I feel re-energized in so many ways. I'm ready to rock March along with the rest of this year. I watched Marie's live Facebook video that night after the 5K, and I was really inspired by her saying that we should do something that scares us because we are all capable of so much more than we think. Well, I don't know if you remember or not, but just that morning, while we were standing in Corral C, I said I always wanted to do a half marathon, but it scares the crap out of me. Well, so apparently, I completely lost my mind while in Florida because the following day, after watching the video, I went to Jeff Galloway's booth at the Health and Fitness Expo. I picked up his book on training for a half marathon and purchased it. What? Did I really just do that? It was almost like an out-of-body experience, or like something else was controlling me. The book was in my hand. The money was exchanged before I could really comprehend it. So now, I'm putting it out there for my wingman and making it official. I am training for a half marathon, and I'm so scared. However, I'm also excited, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the training experience will help me grow as a person and how it will help me on my lifelong journey towards better health and fitness. As of now, I'm planning for my first half marathon to be a Run Disney race because I love my experience so much. I just don't know if it'll be the Wine and Dine half marathon in early November later this year or the next Princess half marathon in February 2020. I know I am strong after going through everything I have with my son because I am still standing and still fighting for my own health. So, with that strength and support from all of my awesome people in the Wise Wingman community, I know I can take on this training and complete the 13.1 mile half marathon. I apologize for this really long email, but I felt the need to email you after having such an awesome weekend. I'm still kind of processing all of it. I feel completely inspired and reinvigorated, and I have you, Marie, and Anna to thank for that. Thank you for your continued service and support to the Wise Wingman community. Your time and effort is much appreciated. Wishing you all the best, Michelle, out of Louisville, Kentucky. Michelle, thank you so much for that amazing email. Let's talk about, I got a lot to say here. And first and foremost, my heart breaks for you and your family and your son. That is not how we plan life. That is not the game plan. When we set up to have children and we set up to have amazing lives, these things are not what we envision as we start life. So I want to wrap my hands around you and just give you a big hug and say I'm sorry. But what I think is cool is I think that you are at a point where you're now able to provide and give him the best care and life that you can. And I think that's where the message needs to be. So you can't change what has happened, but what you can change is how you react to it. What you can change is how you adjust, and you can now change how you respond in a healthy way by getting yourself healthy, which will enable you to continue to be healthy for your entire family. So give him a huge hug from me, from the Wise Wingman community. Let him know that we understand and we cheer for him to be successful, and that we pray in the next few years that advances in modern medicine continue to thrive and allow this thing to just kind of repair itself year after year after year. So that is our hope and plan, and our prayers certainly get sent up for that. Let's talk about this trip you talked about now. So Orlando, right? International tour started in Houston, rolled into Atlanta. On the way to Atlanta, slightly just a day or two before, I decided that I wanted to go take a trip down to Orlando. I got an email coming up in just a second that kind of goes along those lines. But what I want to do is discuss how I ended up in Orlando. Marie was going to run a race. I wanted to be there for her. And so I wanted to keep that a little bit of a secret for details that I'll go into a little later. But nonetheless, we did a live Facebook feed that morning. You happened to catch the live feed at 4 a.m. As you're standing in the corral. You find out that we're in Orlando, and then you decide to track us down, and how cool was that? So don't even for a second apologize. We had a blast just as you did. It was an honor to meet you and to hang out with you, and just kind of, like you said, it felt like we were friends forever, which I think is the coolest part of this entire journey, is that we understand each other. Folks, that's what this community is all about. You take people who have all different walks of life and you put us together, and we instantly understand what we have in common. And we're able to stand there discussing the things that we have in common. Very few places in society is that how it works. Usually what we do is we look for our differences and then we bicker until one of us gets angry and leaves. Not this community, not this group. This group is instantly, we walk up. First when I saw you, I just walked up with big open arms and like, come give me a hug. It's so honored to meet you at 4:30 in the morning in Orlando. What a crazy morning that was. So, but no, it was very cool. Now let's talk about you and you being a little crazy. It's okay. Embrace the crazy, right? So those of us who decide to get healthy, when we figure out that part of our health we've given away and now we can reclaim, not always is that the case, but in many, many cases, we can reverse some of the things that we've done to ourselves by now reversing our lifestyle. Running a marathon, running a half marathon, those are steps. Losing weight, those are steps. So as you sign up for a 5K and you clearly, knock that thing out of the park, you determined that you were capable of so much more. So it isn't surreal. It isn't one of these kind of like, I don't know how this happened. When you got to that expo and you saw the half marathon training book and you watched Marie's video, you knew without any distraction, without any mental hiccup, you knew that you were capable. Now, you're capable of trying. That's one of the biggest lessons I want to teach right now, is that you don't have to, of course we want to succeed, right? We want to finish, but the reality is you're capable of trying. If you set your mind out and you agree to try, that is where the true success is. So your first step of simply purchasing the book and committing to running 13.1 miles, that is where the victory is. Every single step from now until the time you actually sign up for a race, until the time that you actually start at the starting line, and then you compete in that race, every single one of those steps is victory. Complete victory. So you can't have that kind of victory without the commitment to wanting to improve. And that's what happened to you. Our minds, a lot of time, they're very happy keeping us in a zone where we're comfortable. And so if you're comfortable, there is no opportunity for growth, or little opportunity for growth. But it's when you start challenging your belief and when you start challenging your physical limitations and you push forward anyways, that is the moment where you can experience tremendous growth. And that is what you're going after. So I don't wish you any luck on this journey. That is not at all what I want to convey to you. In fact, I wish you the best of focus, right? That's what it's going to take. At this point, you have a game plan. You have a training plan. You have a goal. And so what it's going to take is you have to, from this point forward, you have to remind your brain that you committed to this. You have to push past the distractions. You have to push back the belief of I'm not sure if I can. You have to believe with every fiber in your body that you can do this. I'm already there for you. I already believe you can do this. After witnessing your fire and your determination at the starting line in Corral C at the Princess 5K, knowing and seeing you there, I believe you can do anything. I believe you can commit to it. So that's what I want to see. That's what I want to hear from. I want to hear the success. I want to hear about the training along the way. I think you'll have a couple people join you on this quest for greatness. I think you'll be surprised when once you actually commit to it, the amount of other people who also commit as well. So, Michelle, keep up the great work. Again, truly honored to have met you. I'm glad that you sought us out and found a way for us to connect, and it made the trip that much more special. So thank you so much for that. Next email comes in from Marie out of Cincinnati, Ohio. And folks, before I get into this email, I kind of want to share some little background behind how this email came about. For those of you, you may know she's joining us live on Facebook. Marie Rossiter, she's out there. She's on Instagram as well. A year or so ago, I was kind of surfing around Instagram. I found her profile. Not exactly sure what it was, but I was instantly drawn to her grit, her determination. And so she is someone that I've always kind of kept my eye on, just out of curiosity, because it was amazing to watch her incredible success and determination to go get this done. We were chatting, and about a year ago, I think she told me she was going to sign up for this. Had a dream to do this Princess 5K, do a 5K at Disney in the year 2020. As she started having success because of us, because of her, she started having success. She started running 5Ks earlier, and then moved up her goal to compete in a Disney 5K experience. So all that's going on. We're chatting back and forth on Twitter, and all of a sudden she says, "Hey, by the way, my race is in 2 weeks." Now I admit I had somewhat forgotten that it was coming up, but she said my race is coming up in about 2 weeks. It's going to be the Disney Princess 5K, and I said, "You know what? I didn't say anything. I just okay, cool." I let it go. In the back of my mind, though, I instantly went online. I'm like, you know what? If she's going to run that race, I want to be there. And so without her knowing, I did some research. I found a way to see if I could get there for one. And it was the day before the Atlanta tour was the race. I'm like, well, I'm already going to be traveling. So if I just leave a day early, fly down to Orlando, run the race with her, leave right from the race, go right to Atlanta, I think I can get this done. And so that's what I did. So I said, I through conversation, I found out that there was a chance she was going to run the race alone. I did not want her competing in the biggest event of her life without a wingman. So I did, and the only thing I did just the last minute is just before I actually purchased the plane ticket, I reached out to her and asked her if we could chat on the phone, because I wanted to make sure that she would be okay with that, because this was her goal. I didn't want to interfere. Now, I got tons of emails, comments, questions about, man, I wish I would have known. I would have met you there. I would have met you there. How come you didn't tell me you were going to be there? And this is where I come to you with asking for your forgiveness and asking for your understanding. This was not an event about me. This was an event about her. She was competing in a lifelong goal of hers. The fact that I even wanted to be there, I felt a little uneasy crashing her own party. So I called to make sure it was okay with her for one. But what I did not want to do is have an amazing community of all of us who would have responded to be there to overshadow this moment for her. So I kept it a secret for as long as I could. I'm terrible at keeping secrets, I can tell you that for sure. But I kept it a secret for as long as I could, so that we could enjoy this event. She could enjoy this event. And so this letter comes in from Marie, and I want to kind of read it to you. It's a huge thank you to all of us. It says, "Hi, Mike. I promised I'd write you an email to share with you the incredible wingman after being home for about 24 hours. I finally feel like I have the ability to do it without tears running down my cheeks. In all the excitement of the past week, I think it's important for me to be transparent. The past few months have not been easy for me as far as my accountability for tracking and points. As a result, my losses on the scale have come to a halt, and I've been bouncing around the same decade for a long time. I have put so much time and effort into training for the Princess 5K that tracking fell to the wayside. After a week and a half of being away from the scale and a whirlwind trip to Disney, I'm now up about 5 pounds and back into the 290s. Is it where I want to be? No, but it's where I am and the foundation of where I'm going. I share this with everyone to let them know there are other ways of looking at this journey than the scale. That has been a hard lesson for me to learn. I'm losing inches, gaining strength and endurance. It can be easy to look at snapshots of my Disney trip and think I have it all together. I don't. I work through the challenges every day, and I make countless choices along the way. While many of them have been good, I know I'm not doing my best when it comes to tracking, so I'm taking some of my focus from my physical training and working on my accountability with food. As for this past week, to say it has been life-changing is an understatement. From the moment we talked on the phone and you asked me if you could come to Disney to be there with me for the race, I have felt humbled, undeserving, and even nervous. Why me? I'm not that special. What have I done to deserve something like this? The amount of love and support I've received from this race and all along has totally overwhelmed me. I could feel the love in every post. Friend, an inspiration, we greeted by the rising sun. That was the win before we even... Hang on, let me back up. Woo, sorry about that. I printed double-sided. Let me go back to the beginning. It says, I could feel the love in every post, every comment from all of you out there. Not a single one went by unnoticed, and I know I didn't thank each of you personally. I hope this will suffice. Mike, having you at this major life accomplishment added a whole new dimension to the experience. Our inspiration, our wingman, would be by my side as I tackled this challenge. Would I make you proud? Would I make the wingman proud? My husband and kids proud? Most of all, would I make myself proud? I pushed past so many fears during this trip, trying things that I couldn't face in the years past. The Tower of Terror, by the way, it's an awesome attraction, and I highly recommend it. It's worth the 20-year wait. The sense of exhilaration I felt after knocking down another wall in my path felt empowering. Even the 5K was a scary thing for me. Sure, I'd done the distance before, but never with this many people in this venue and in the running conditions. My heart pounded. But when I finally saw you dark and early Friday morning, and we made a total scene running to each other for a hug, I knew the day would be more memorable than I'd imagined. The conditions were not great, with so many people and absolutely miserable humidity, but something inside pushed me to keep running. I probably should have walked more, which was my plan, but I felt driven. I know we didn't chat much during the race, and I tend to go into a zone, but your presence gave me the strength to take each step and not give up. Sometimes words aren't needed to communicate the most powerful messages. Just over a year ago, I couldn't walk around Epcot and required a scooter. On Friday morning, I ran through the park with a true friend and inspiration as we were greeted by the rising sun. That was a win before we even crossed the finish line. It's taken me a while to figure out the answer to my questions of why me and what did I do to deserve all this. I set a goal. I never took my eyes off of it, no matter if I had an awesome day or a miserable one. I was stubborn. I was relentless. I made a commitment to myself, and I went the distance to follow through on my promise to myself, and that is worth celebrating. Crossing the Princess 5K finish line was the start of the next stage of my health journey. I feel a new excitement and focus that I'd needed for a while. I set a new goal of returning to Disney next year for the Princess Half Marathon. I've already signed up for another 5K in less than 2 weeks, and I'm planning out my training schedule and races for the next 52 weeks. That is a life changer for sure. I know if I can do all this, I can get to my goal weight as well. Yes, that is scary too, but I've proven I can overcome my fears one step at a time. Thank you to all my wingmen for one of the most memorable weekends of my life. I can never repay all the love you've shown. I am honored to be a wingman. I love you all, Marie. Marie, congratulations for sure. The thing I want to kind of get into in your email is exactly what I noticed a year or so ago. You're determined. You're focused. That is what it takes on this journey to have success. That's what it takes in life to have success. You have to set a goal and you have to work towards it. You don't have to be perfect, but you have to show up often to get it done. That is what I noticed in you from the very, very, very first start. That is what made me decide that it was time for me to make sure that you walk this journey alone. I wasn't looking at your scale number. I wasn't looking to see how much you weighed, and I wasn't going to make a decision if I showed up based on how well you were doing with the scale. That was completely irrelevant. My decision to show up to support you, to be there with you, was based solely on the ability for you to get it done mentally. The mental attitude that you had shown all throughout this process is what made me go, I want to be there in her presence to witness this. You did not disappoint. I got to tell you, as you were nervous, I was equally as nervous as well. And here's why. I developed a little bit of an injury running. And so I've talked about this briefly, but running for me right now is not something that I'm able to do without a lot of pain. And so it's fine. And so, but it's taken me, a couple months to get back to it. I had probably not run in about 3 months before I've actually gone for a decent run. So when I said that I was going to run with you, I knew what that meant. Is I knew for me that was I'm going to have to run and push back some pain because I want to be there with you. Now I share that only to tell you this. I was nervous as well that I'm going to get there and that you were going to beat me across the finish line and that I would be there as a wingman and I would be the one holding you back. So yes, the fear is real on both ends of the spectrum. Luckily, that did not happen. Luckily, I was able to run and keep up with you. But here is where you did not disappoint. Because I was a little nervous getting there, I wasn't sure exactly what to expect, and I wasn't sure how fast we were going to run, and secretly in the back of my head, I'm like, well, maybe we'll walk enough, and that will help. You didn't do that, and so you got there, and when the gun went off, the fireworks blasted, and all of a sudden, 3, 2, 1, boom, we took off, and we took off running, and we didn't stop. That was wild for me because I knew what your plan was. I knew your plan was to walk a little, run a little, walk a little, run a little. And there were times as we were running through the crowds, I tell you, it was absolutely packed. You know that. For those listening, we were shoulder to shoulder for 3.1 miles. I don't think we ever got to a point where I couldn't reach out and touch somebody else in this run. 3.1 miles of shoulder to shoulder, elbow to elbow running, a little bit intimidating. So as we were coming up on different people, Marie says, on your left, on your right, move out of my way. Oh, okay, that one I made up, but on your left, on your right. And so she ran through this crowd. And so we ran more miles left and right than we ever did forward because we had to run around people to do this. And so as here I am in the back of the pack watching her run, and I stayed just a pace or two behind because I wanted to witness what awesome looked like. And so as we come up on groups of runners, it would have been very, very, very easy to just slow down, back off on the pace, walk a little bit, and then allow ourselves to get around. But no, that's not what you did. What you did was decide that you wanted to continue running regardless. So if that meant running sideways for a little bit and then zigzagging back the other way, that's what it meant. So as we completed this 3.1 mile race, I don't even know the measure because I wasn't counting, but I am giving you credit for running about 98% of this thing, which was truly inspiring. And so that right there is why I came down. That right there answers your question. Why you? That right there answers the question is what did you do to deserve all this? What you did to deserve all this was you put yourself first. What you did to deserve all this is that you put yourself out there and you said, I am going to get it done. And what happens when we do that is we attract other people with that same mindset. We attract people who are focused, who are determined, who are just like, I am doing this. When you show those true colors, other people who are seeking that out, they want a part of that. I showed up to be a part of that journey because I wanted some of that inspiration to rub off on me. And so that is what it's taken. And that's why you, and you certainly didn't let me down. We had an amazing time. And so interestingly enough, as you know, right, we crossed the finish line and boom, I went right into an Uber. I'm sorry, Uber driver, I didn't shower before getting in the car, but and then off to Atlanta. And so I had a chance to watch a couple of the videos that you put out on Facebook, and you're truly welcome. And thank you for allowing me to witness that day in your journey. And so, man, I would love it if I had the opportunity to do that with every single person who ever ran a race, but logistically, certainly not possible. But the coolest thing is out of this entire thing is you've said a couple things that are beyond cool. You said a lot, but the knowledge of knowing that if you can do this, if you can run this race, if you can train, if you can go to a park that you had to take a scooter to walk around the park, and now you're running through that exact same park a year later, you can get to goal weight. And really goal weight is just ends up being a number. Mentally, you're there. It's just now a matter of time. And as your princess, as your next half marathon, whatever you're training for next, whatever distance you set for yourself next, that is just part of the journey. And that is what will now continue to carry you forward, regardless of what the scale says. Knowing you can do this is the confidence. Having the confidence to push our mental fears away, to tackling them and saying, I am going to do this, and then doing it is where the victory is. All of us together, working as a community, the Wise Wingman Facebook group, those on Connect, those everywhere on Twitter, on Instagram, all of us together showing each other what success looks like, what determination looks like, what fear and conquering those fears looks like. When we show that to other people, they are able to then recognize it in themselves, and that is the power of the community. That is why we continue to celebrate. That is why we're able to get this done. Marie, truly an honor to have run with you in Orlando. I can assure you I'm probably not going to run the Princess Half Marathon with you in Orlando, but I'm positive that someone else will be there to go with you as well. And when they do, we'll get out there and celebrate. Folks, what is it that you're celebrating? Let's share it on the air. Go to fatdag.com, click on the Wise Advice Podcast, send in your celebrations, your comments, your questions. I'll work them in as part of the show. I want you to email in those celebrations. I want you to be proud of what you're doing. When you share the pride, there's someone else listening right now that goes, I want that. I can do that too. And you've now taught them that it's possible to dream a little bigger and then have whatever success is at the end of that dream. Folks, that's going to do it for this time. Remember now that losing weight and getting healthy has nothing to do with luck. You have to remain disciplined and focused. Set your sights on your goal and go after it. I wish you good focus. Thank you for listening to the Wise Advice Podcast. Did you know for as little as $1 a month, you can take the next step as a wingman and support the show? Visit fatdag.com, click on Become a Patron today.